Please welcome Sarah Macri, Assistant Vice President for Riverside's DCS Division, Executive Sponsor for the LGBT Crew Employee Resource Group, and member of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee.
Hey, welcome to Riverside Community Care's celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy and Black History Month. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge the passing of Dr. King's youngest child, Dexter Scott King, who passed just this last week. We would like to extend our thoughts and condolences to the entire King family during this very challenging time. Additionally, yesterday marked the anniversary of Coretta Scott King's passing, who you may not know was a trained vocalist and was the amazing voice we just heard in the video just now. As we all should be aware, on the third Monday of January in the United States, we celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The month of February is also Black History Month. At Riverside, we celebrate both in this one event each year. Our focus for this year is honoring the women of the civil rights movement. As we celebrate Black History Month beginning tomorrow, it's important to recognize the profound impact so many women had on shaping the world we live in today. Their sacrifices and achievements resonate with so many of us on such a personal level. There are so many women deserving of acknowledgement today. Coretta Scott King, a woman of immense strength and grace, was not merely the wife of a leader, but a leader in her own right. Her advocacy for civil rights, peace, and equality continues to this day, long after the movement, leaving an enduring legacy that inspires generations. Rosa Parks, often hailed as the mother of the civil rights movement, sparked a revolution with a simple act of refusing to give up her seat. Her courage became a catalyst, igniting the flame of change that would transform the nation. It is crucial to acknowledge that these two extraordinary women were not alone. There were numerous others who labored tirelessly in the shadows, their efforts too often overlooked. Fannie Lou Hamer, a fearless advocate for voting rights, and Ella Baker, a brilliant strategist behind the scenes. Both played pivotal roles in shaping the movement's course. And of course, the courageous Mamie Till. Mamie's son, Emmett, was a young African-American who was brutally murdered in Mississippi in 1955. Emmett Till's death became a catalyst for the civil rights movement in the United States. Mamie Till played a significant role in the aftermath of her son's murder by choosing to have an open casket funeral and allowing the graphic images of Emmett's disfigured body to be published in Jet magazine. This decision was made to expose the brutal racism and violence that African Americans faced in the South. The shocking images had a profound impact, raising awareness and galvanizing support for the civil rights movement. Mamie Till's courage and determination to seek justice for her son became a symbol of the broader struggle for racial equality in the United States. Her ongoing courage and activism through the years can sometimes be overlooked. There are women today within Riverside Community Care who understand and value this amazing history. At Riverside, we strive daily to make a true difference in the lives of the many people we serve. There are a number of women in leadership roles within Riverside, as well as other behavioral health organizations who are committed to providing care and support for those in need. At Riverside, through our services, we impact over 40,000 people across Massachusetts annually, and that number continues to grow. So today, we are celebrating both women in history and women today, and our amazing contributions to society. Join us as we embark on this journey for the next hour, exploring the enduring impact of women from the civil rights movement on our lives today. Let their stories resonate and inspire us to continue the pursuit of equality, understanding, and progress. These women were pioneers. They broke down barriers, challenged norms, and their legacy lives on. Their impact extends far beyond the pages of history books. It's woven into the fabric of our everyday lives. We stand on the shoulders of these women as their voices ring out from the pages of history. Now, please welcome our musical guest, Ashling Cole, singing a song known to many as the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Great morning, everybody. So excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I just want to say thank you. I'm so filled with gratitude and thank you for your service. We honor you, we salute you, and let us keep standing and keep fighting until victory is won. Amen. Amen. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening ride, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our Father sighed. We have come over a way that with tears has been watered, and we have come treading the path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy mind led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray, lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee, lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee, shadowed beneath thy hand. May we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land. Yeah.
Please welcome Paulo Fulton, Chief Human Resources Officer at Riverside.
Today, we are shedding light on the remarkable contributions made by women during the pivotal era of the civil rights movement. As we reflect on the struggle for justice and equality, it is essential to recognize the indelible mark left by women who not only stood at the forefront, but also shaped the trajectory of the movement. So many women collectively challenged systemic racism and sexism, advocating for a more inclusive and just society. Their efforts did not only impact Black women, they reverberated throughout the fabric of America, influencing policies and perceptions that continue to shape our nation. The civil rights movement, led by these indomitable women, laid the foundation for progress. Today, we see the fruits of their labor in the strides towards gender and racial equality. Their courage, resilience, and determination have inspired subsequent generations of women to stand up, speak out, and strive for a more just and inclusive America. In honoring the contributions of these women, we recognize that the journey towards equality is ongoing. Let us draw inspiration from their legacy as we continue the pursuit of justice, unity, and progress for all. With those thoughts in mind, we thought it be fitting to honor a current leader who is leaving a mark today. It is both an honor and a privilege to celebrate not just the accomplishments of a remarkable leader, but the enduring legacy of an awesome woman in leadership. As the Chief Human Resources Officer of our esteemed Riverside Community Care, I am delighted to acknowledge and pay tribute to our esteemed CEO, Marcia Medley. In the landscape of behavioral health, where compassion, empathy, and resilience are paramount, Marcia has not only steered our organization towards greater heights, but has also left an indelible mark on the path for women in leadership. Her unwavering commitment to our mission, coupled with her strategic thoughtfulness, has not only positively impacted our organization, but has set a powerful example for others to follow. Today, we take a moment to reflect on the trails she has blazed in behavioral health leadership, recognizing the challenges she has overcome and the milestones she has achieved. Today is not just about the remarkable leaders of the past, but to acknowledge the results of their efforts that can be seen in so many ways. It is about honoring people of more modern generations as a trailblazer who has carved the path for others to tread. As part of this event today, we extend our gratitude and admiration to Marcia, not just for the incredible work she has done within these walls, but for the legacy she is leaving along the way. A legacy that resonates not only with the present, but echoes into the future, creating opportunities and inspiring countless others to aspire to leadership roles. Marcia, today we honor you along with the many other women who have paved the way. Your leadership, resilience, and dedication have shaped our organization and left an impact that will endure for years to come. Thank you, Marcia, for being an awesome woman in leadership, a beacon of inspiration, and a catalyst for positive change. Everyone, please help me celebrate and welcome Riverside CEO, Marcia Medley.
Wow. Thank you so much, Paula. That was unexpected and very much appreciated. Thank you all. And thank you for joining us today as we reflect on the remarkable history of Black women in this country and the profound impact it has had on the current state of women in leadership. It's an honor to address you as the CEO of Riverside, and I'm compelled to acknowledge the trailblazing women who paved the way for individuals like me to assume leadership roles. One such exemplary woman is Mrs. Myrlie Evers, a beacon of strength and resilience in the face of unimaginable adversity. In the wake of the brutal assassination of her husband, Medgar Evers, she demonstrated a level of courage that transcends time. Mrs. Evers not only weathered personal tragedy, but transformed her grief into a powerful force for change. In the annals of history, Myrlie Evers stands as a testament to the indomitable spirit of women. Her commitment to justice and equality did not waver, even in the face of immense personal loss. Instead, she emerged as a fierce advocate, dedicating her life to continuing the work that her husband had started. As we consider the journey of women in leadership, it is crucial to recognize the value that each woman adds to her respective field. In behavioral health, where empathy, understanding, and resilience are paramount, the contributions of women leaders are particularly profound. The ability to navigate the complexities of mental health and substance use and provide compassionate care. is in many ways enhanced by the unique qualities that many women bring to leadership roles. Myrlie Evers exemplifies the power of turning adversity into advocacy, a lesson we can apply in the behavioral health and human services arena. The challenges we face today are not dissimilar from those encountered by the women who forged the path before us. We continue to break down barriers, challenge stereotypes, and advocate for equitable access to resources. In Riverside's field, where the importance of compassion and empathy can really not be overstated, women leaders bring a valuable perspective that enriches our approach to care. We understand the nuances of human emotion, the significance of building trust, and the impact of trauma on mental well-being. As we stand on the shoulders of women like Myrlie Evers, let us reaffirm our commitment to creating a future where all individuals, regardless of gender, can thrive in leadership roles. By recognizing the historical contributions of women and embracing the unique strengths they bring to the table, we ensure a more compassionate and effective approach to behavioral health and human services. In closing, I invite each of you to reflect on the enduring legacy of Myrlie Evers and countless other women who have shaped the landscape of leadership. Let their stories inspire us to continue championing progress, breaking barriers, and fostering a future where women in leadership make an enduring impact. Thank you.
Please welcome Riverside's Vice President for Diversity and Inclusion, Dr. Angela Crutchfield.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today to celebrate the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Black History Month, and to specifically honor the women of the Civil Rights Movement. I am so excited about this event today and all that has happened so far, but I'm even most excited about the opportunity to have a keynote conversation with Arndrea Waters King. Mrs. King has dedicated herself to public service as a passionate leader in the global fight against inequality, injustice, hate crimes, and all forms of pain. And throughout her life, she has consistently worked on behalf of those who have been marginalized by helping them find and collectively use their voices for change. In 2006, she married into the King family, marrying marrying Martin Luther King III. And together they have championed several nonviolence and social change initiatives, designing programs that advance the understanding of the concerns and also activism. And as the mother of Yolanda Renee King, the only grandchild of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I tell you, this is reflective of a person who is just a strong, amazing supporter of so many things that are legacy building and so many things that are supportive of youth activism and believing and helping young people to find their peaceful and effective stand for world issues that concern them today. And it's just amazing to see the work that is currently going on. If you didn't know about it, you're going to hear about it today. Our guest is currently the president of the Drum Major Institute, and she plays a critical role in creating strategic partnerships and managing the day-to-day operations of this very active social justice organization. It is a nonprofit organization that was founded over 60 years ago, and the Drum Major Institute is continuing to provide opportunities for support of change in our country. And our guest basically has a platform which contributes to the King legacy and encourages individuals to embrace their unique contribution to peace, justice, and equality. I am so happy to welcome Miss Arndrea Waters King for our keynote conversation. Welcome, welcome.
Hello.
Hello. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty well. Certainly, I'm doing better after the opening. What a beautiful, beautiful program that you all come together and putting out and sharing into the world.
Oh, thank you so very much. And again, having you as a part of this really is really an important aspect of what we're doing today in honoring the women who had major contributions, and you're so connected to that today in our current state. But I want to start by just going through a few things about you, right? We oftentimes we have people who stand in the face of legacy and are part of this whole big, in your case, the big King family. But let's hear a little bit about you, if you don't mind sharing briefly your personal journey, and then how you actually became connected to the King family, particularly as the daughter-in-law of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Let's see. I think that I would start by saying I have been so very fortunate and blessed by my parents. My mom, I'm originally from Florida, and my mom and father were from a small town in Florida called Live Oak, Florida. And my mom was the very first Black nurse in that town. And what is so interesting or compelling is that not only did other nurses or doctors want to work with her, but even patients did not want to work with her. And the thing about my mom, she passed away in 2019, but she lived a life of service, and she lived so that her life was her sermon. So, you go from that in the 70s to in the 80s, she was on the forefront in Tallahassee, Florida, of working during the HIV, the beginning of the HIV and AIDS epidemic, at a time when a lot of even service providers did not want to work with HIV and AIDS patients. And my mother wrote, directed, and starred in a movie for other nurses and healthcare providers about treating AIDS patients with compassion and dignity. And she was on the forefront of that movement. And that says a lot about who my mom was.
Wow.
She ended up being the first nurse of the year in Florida. I say all of that because, again, being raised by someone who, was such a tremendous force of nature, but also at that same time, always never had any anger or bitterness, and always was thinking about the least of these, and compassion, but with a strong sense of herself. That really being raised that way, I think, certainly impacted my belief, not because I was sat down and said, okay, you must do a life of service, or it was because what was modeled in our home.
So it's in your blood. It's not just in your documentation of being married. It's not in just that connection. You already had that flowing in you from your mom.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's amazing, and it makes sense now with some of the things that I've seen and read in relation to the work that you do. When we think about our theme for today, your mother kind of falls right in line, even more, closer to these years, our current state, but she falls right in line with us honoring, Black women and the civil rights movements, and being thoughtful about other people. When you think about the civil rights movement and women and how they did so much that in many ways has been overlooked, how do you see the role of women like Mrs. Coretta Scott King in shaping the movement, and what impact do you believe they had on the broader struggle for civil rights?
Well, I always like to say that I believe that women are, and particularly Black women, are unwavering warriors. When you really think about the fact that we really are the backbone, not only of our nation and our culture and the world, the fact that just the adversity, and to continue to stand and create and lead and guide, and also hold. We hold so much. And we really have been at the forefront. When you think about the entire civil rights movement, which I really believe in every sense that can be, really saved our nation and world, and showed us a different way of being. When you really think about the women that really were the backbone of that, from not only, Rosa Parks, but when you think about Miss Robinson and all of the women that actually called the initial meetings, that stayed up all night to make sure that the flyers were written and printed and distributed. When you think about the fact of coming together and thinking about all of the things that had to be done to have a successful protest movement. And you know, and during the Montgomery bus boycott, I like to think that that was the original concept of Ubering. You know, when you
Wow,
think
that's a very good perspective.
yeah,
Yes.
this mass, like how are you going to move all of these many people and get this person there? It was a massive undertaking. Yes, it was a lot of physical preparation, and there was a physical toll, but also when you think about literally mentally of organizing and containing all of that, and
Yeah.
you're doing that and still working outside of the home, you were working inside of the home, and you know you're raising your children, and all too often you were raising others' children. So
Yeah.
you know, women have been and always will be literally the heartbeat. And again, Black women in particular have been unwavering in our stand through it all.
Yeah, and I tell you that you're giving great examples of the resilience and the strength that's demonstrated by so many women, women in general, but definitely in light of the civil rights movement, women with melanin in their skin like us, right? And I think thinking about that, what would you say personally inspires you when you think about the strength of these women and all of the resiliency and all the thoughtfulness about planning, everything you just described? How does that impact you from a personal perspective?
Well, I'll tell you, at the beginning of this particular program, even just looking at all of these women in the past and in the present, one of the things that I was doing is every face was coming on the screen, I was saying thank you.
Mm,
Just, you know, thank you. And also, so here in our house, we acknowledge all of those that came before us, because one of the things that I firmly believe is that all of us, somewhere in some lineage, we are the answered prayers of our ancestors.
oh,
Each
wow.
one of us. We wouldn't be here, and you know, even if it wasn't your mom, there was an aunt, there was a cousin, there was a teacher, there was someone somewhere that prayed for you and that's, you know, believed in you, and you were their hope. And
Mhm.
so, you know, we constantly are in gratitude for that. But
Yeah.
also, you know, equipping. When I meet young women today, I mean, I have a almost 16-year-old in our house, but whether it's her peers, whether it's, you know, other activists, or just, you know, young ladies that we meet on the street, I am so inspired by this generation that's coming up. I mean, they are bold, you know, they're unapologetic. And I often say, and I truly believe that we are really witnessing the unfoldment of probably what will turn out to be one of the greatest generations that this country and world has seen.
Yeah, and I want to ask you some questions in a few minutes about your daughter and also the connection to our current generations. But before I go there, I want to go back. You mentioned something about in your household and remembering those from the past. You know, many were interested in hearing about your relationship, if you had one, prior to her passing, with Mrs. Coretta Scott King. You know, and given all that she did, do you have any insights or memories that you would share in light of her contributions to the civil rights movement?
Um, well, I can tell you there's not a day in this house with my husband and our daughter and myself that Coretta Scott King is not thought about and missed. Um, she and I we share a love of music and a love of opera. So we would go to the opera together. We had many discussions, and it's interesting to look back, because I think a lot of the things that she shared with me are things that I share with our daughter. So I think in a way, you know, whether it was intentional or not, those things I'm able to share directly with her about some stories about her growing up, or you know, stories that she shared with me about you know, early years of marriage.
Mm,
Um, she was such an extraordinary. I think the world hasn't even scratched the surface, truly, of who Coretta Scott King was and what she contributed, not only to the civil rights movement, but to democracy and everything that is good and true in our world. She was involved within the peace movement even before her husband. And, we like to think that a lot of those conversations in a very real sense helped to shape and facilitate his thinkings. The fact that there would not be a King holiday were it not for Coretta Scott King. When you think about the audacity of a woman and thinking, and a Black woman, and particularly in the late 60s, thinking about how we can not only remember Martin Luther King Jr., but how can that legacy not die with him? And so it took more than a decade to make that vision a reality. But the reason that we have a King holiday is because of the leadership of Coretta Scott King, literally going on Capitol Hill and meeting with every senator and most members of Congress, going state to state, so just the incredible vision and capacity. And one of the things that I like to remind women of, because I think this a lot of times get lost, because I would imagine that a lot of women that are watching this are single parents, and have a career and raising children, and and wanting to to do things to make this world better. And I always remind them that they are in the legacy of Coretta Scott King, because after 1968, she did all of these things that I'm talking about as a single mother of 4 young children. And so, she is an extraordinary, there's, parts of her that, could be very funny,
Yeah.
very tender, and extraordinarily strong and smart. And that's another word that I think that we don't say a lot as relates to, there's a lot of words that they use, but she was an incredibly smart woman, and incredibly committed to certainly the King legacy, but most of all committed to humanity.
Yeah, and I love that, and it's showing up quite strongly in your home now, and I want to go ahead and jump to one question that I was going to wait till later, but I can't help but ask it now. You birthed legacy, right? Yolanda Renee King, as the only grandchild of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King, she's growing up in a unique position. How do you envision her carrying forward the legacy of her grandfather, of her grandmother, and continuing to contribute to social justice and the cause that we have before us?
One of the things that I've said to Yolanda intentionally since the time she was an infant, when she couldn't understand, and I'm not sure even as a teenager, that is, she's almost 16, and she's an extraordinary young lady, full of joy and light. And she's a 16-year-old with all that goes with that.
Right.
So one of the things I've always said to her, because I wanted it to get deep down within her soul, is that, being Coretta Scott King and Martin Luther King's granddaughter, is wonderful, but it's not what I would say to her. I'm talking to her, but it's not what makes you special. It's unique. And there's something about each and every person that you meet that's unique, whether it's a particular feature, whether it's a particular talent, like there's something about each one of us that is unique. But what makes you special is who you are as a child of God. And that's the exact same thing that makes every person that you come into contact with special. Because I wanted her to understand that her specialness is the same thing that makes all of us special. It's who we all are. It doesn't come from her lineage, although that is wonderful and that's beautiful. But so that she has the room and the space to be who she desires to be. And one of the things that is very important to me, and that we talk about quite often, is Yolanda has many talents and many interests. She's like a mile a minute, which is wonderful. Including she started just a couple of years ago singing, and she has a beautiful voice. which is, I think, directly linked to her grandmother, because I can assure everyone listening that there is no one in my family that has that gift of talent. We have other talents, but not that. So it's beautiful when she's walking around the house singing. But one of the things that I want her to do is have the space and the room to be her what her soul, who she came to be. But I also want for her to also be clear in integrity, because I've met too many people that, I tell her that your life is your sermon. I don't expect you to be perfect. None of us are perfect, but I do expect you, if when we're talking about, peace, justice, and equity, or truth and love, to as best to your ability to be that in the world.
Yeah, you know what? I appreciate that so much. And when I think about you and your positioning as a mother and a woman, you got to find an interesting balance here of connecting to this historical legacy and balancing preserving the memory of the past with fostering progress and positive change for the future and for future generations. How do you do that? How are you as a woman, as a mother, as a leader, how are you doing that?
Well, first of all, I'm very blessed again that I have an extraordinary network of women around me. I have two wonderful sisters, but I have an extraordinary network of women whom we all support each other. We have a saying, in fact, Yolanda, she's heard me say this so much that she finishes my sentence, but, real queens straighten each other's crowns.
Yes.
And so I'm very blessed and fortunate in that aspect. I also truly love what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I also truly believe that, I worked for many years monitoring hate groups and hate crimes, such as neo-Nazi, skinheads, and, Klan. And that organization was started by two individuals, Reverend C.T. Vivian, who worked with Diane Nash and so many others during the sit-in movements. And he also was chief lieutenant of Martin's father. And also Ann Braden. Ann Braden was mentioned in a letter from a Birmingham jail as a white Southern woman that was in the movement for peace by Dr. King. And the reason that I bring that up is that being fortunate enough to actually being mentored by two people who literally changed the course of our nation and our world, all the work that we do, it's not just mere philosophy or mere fantasy. I know what can happen when people of goodwill come together. I've been mentored by people who change, the course of this nation and world. And I honestly believe that now it's almost, if you think about peace, justice, and equity being eternal flames, but each generation has a responsibility to feed those flames, or they will go out. And so, just the fact that to really know that we truly can and will create this beloved community, to really know that there are many more people of goodwill. And yes, I understand, because, I work certainly within the civil rights movement. So I understand the facts. I understand that literally my daughter and her generation have fewer rights than the day that they were born. They have fewer protected rights. And I understand that hasn't happened since the end of Reconstruction. So I understand the facts, the challenges before us, but I also understand that there's a difference between facts and truth. And the truth of the matter is, every single time it looked impossible, every time, this has always been a movement of faith. I know what happens when we all come together. We hold fast to those truths. We hold fast to the truth that, the moral arc of the universe is long, but it absolutely bends towards justice. But, and here's the but, we all have to do our part in helping to bend that towards justice.
That is so true. And when we think about leadership, I can relate to you so much. A lot of the work that I do and working with women and leadership development and all of that, I'm right there with you. And when we think about women in leadership and we think about our current generation, what would you give as advice to young Black women aspiring to take on leadership roles in their communities in light of everything that you're talking about and so many other things that present as needs for our communities, what would you give to them as advice?
Well, I think it's so interesting and probably not an accident that most movements throughout history have always been led by young people. So they already have that, check going on in their favor. I would also tell them to find something that you're passionate about.
Mhm.
And because we all have, I believe, like different parts of our part in fulfilling and realizing the dream. So find that which you're passionate about. And one of the things also is that, it is not beneficial for any of us to idolize Martin Luther King Jr. And Coretta Scott King.
Mhm.
What we all should do is to live up to those ideals.
Yes.
When you idolize something, you just, put it on the shelf, take it down once a year, dust it off. But, you're not challenged to find and live up to those ideals. And also, I also would remind them every single day to think about what wolf are you feeding? And that's, that whole story about, the two wolves that are in battle inside of us. And, I think about the story of the granddaughter that comes to her grandmother and said, grandma, there's two wolves and they're fighting inside of me. And, and I'm not sure which one will win because, one is angry and bitter and full of hatred and jealousy and competition. But there is another wolf that's noble and full of love and peace and power. And they're in a constant battle. And I'm not sure which one will win. Can you please give me some advice? And her grandmother looked her in the eye and simply said, the wolf that you feed. You see, we have a choice every day. Bad things happen, the unfair things happen. But every day we have a choice as to which wolf that we're going to feed. And we also have to understand that what we're feeding is what we are putting out into the world. So we have to make that decision. Are we going to be part of the problem? Or are we going to be part of the solution? And you have to fortify yourself every day.
Every day.
It's not a one and done.
It's not a one and done. And I think that even speaks to the work that we do as Riverside Community Care as a behavioral health organization. A lot of times we don't want to touch that, that battle that's going on that you just described may require some people to get a little undergirding and a little bit of support from a behavioral health perspective. So, how can discussions around behavioral health be better integrated into broader conversations about civil rights and leadership, social justice, and particularly as it relates to the experiences of Black women? Any thoughts from you on that?
I think first and foremost, we have to, again, fortify ourselves. Because, by the time, if you don't, by the time you leave your house and close your door, the world has already programmed you. We have to make the decision, are we going to reflect all that we see that's wrong in the world, or are we going to do something to impact that? I think that when those conversations come up, as they inevitably will, when those situations come up, as they inevitably will, you yourself will be fortified to be in a space and hold space for those conversations. And also, I think that one of the things that all women, and particularly Black women, what we have to continue to work on is giving ourselves more grace.
Yeah.
We hold so much and it gets so heavy. And it's okay sometimes. Not only is it okay, it's mandatory that we, put the oxygen mask on ourselves. It's okay to be able to exhale. I know it's hard. I come from a caretaker. My mom she worked in many areas of nursing, including behavioral science. And so I understand. And as an activist, when you're holding so much for everybody else, we also have to have a space and a place where we can be able to, put our crown down or let someone help you straighten that. Sometimes it literally is breath to breath. One of the
And
things
that's
that we forget is like even just, there's so many times, so many days in between meetings, or when I, get bad news, or I sometimes I will go to a quiet place. I'll go into a restroom for 10 and just take breaths, breathing in, so we have to find a way to also, as we are, because in some ways it comes naturally for us to hold space, to hold conversation. So, and there's plenty of books and, all of that's out there, but also to remember to have grace for yourself, that same grace that you have for so many others.
Yeah.
Have that.
That is so powerful. So powerful what you're sharing, because it really speaks to how you are prioritizing and being thoughtful about behavioral health and the well-being of yourself and your family. And that's an emotional toll, I'm sure, to carry this historical legacy that you carry, and being who you are and who you're connected to. And we as an organization appreciate you sharing that perspective on how you're finding that balance. That's huge for us as an organization.
And let me
As
be
we,
honest, like all of us, some days and sometimes that balance isn't there. So
yeah,
I'm speaking to all of you all, I'm also speaking to myself, but I do really try, as to bring that, because you want to, as much as possible, bring your whole self,
yeah.
your best self.
The whole stuff, and being able to be authentically yourself. We talk about that a lot in this space of diversity and inclusion. So I truly value your perspective on that. I know we probably are over our time, but I have to put my glasses on and I have to at least open it up and see if anyone has a question that they want to drop in the chat that we can ask Mrs. King really quickly. We'll take one, maybe two, and then we have to move on because we do have a few more things to cover in this event today. But just having this discussion with you has been absolutely awesome. Any questions that we have coming in from anyone? Nick, if maybe you could share those. I just see a lot of thank yous for this discussion. That is awesome to see. So people really appreciate and value what you are sharing, but want to see if we have any questions. I'll give you another second or two. Any questions? Very inspiring. Good to hear. Good to see those comments coming in. Thank you all so very much. It looks like we don't have any questions. So with that, I will say question came in. Let me give Nick a minute to grab that one question.
Yep, sure. So we have a question. What is our greatest challenge facing mental health right now?
Well, I do think that there is a lot more conversation as relates to mental health that than in the past. I still think that we still need much more conversation, and particularly about how it looks, how it looks for, as the mother of an adolescent teen daughter. I think we also need to be clear that mental health looks different from, a 6-year-old versus a 16 versus a 60-year-old. So I think that we need to continue to talk about it. We need to continue to make it a safe space. But we also need much more, I think, funding and awareness about mental health, and about all of the ways in which it can and should be addressed. One of the things that we're working on is we launched literally on the King holiday for the next 5 years, an initiative called Realizing the Dream. And what we are wanting to do is 100 million hours of service by Dr. King's 100th birthday, and particularly for young people. And the reason that I bring that up is certainly service is not a pill that solves everything, but there are a lot of studies that as young people are involved in service, that they tend to do better in school. They tend to have better mental health. There's something about when you are doing something, even something small outside of yourself, that it does tend to have all of these, not only for the service that you're doing, but also it literally has implications for yourself. And thirdly, it has implications for the person who witnesses it. So it's, so I think that we also need to be much more agile in looking at all the ways that mental health has been impacted particularly over the past decade, particularly over COVID. You know, we have a whole generation of kids that I think we're still now only beginning to scratch the surface of mental health and that impact of COVID. But also, you know, to be looking at it in a larger way and looking at solutions in a much larger way. But it all
Absolutely.
begins with us being able to create safe spaces to talk about it. And it also, again, goes back to making sure that we also are okay individually. And when we're not,
Absolutely.
and I think even sometimes, you know, just because you're in mental health, that doesn't mean that you take care of yours. And
Right.
so again, that oxygen mask on first so that you can be your whole self as you're going out into the world.
Absolutely. Well, this has been absolutely amazing having an opportunity to have a keynote conversation with you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule, your life to spend time with us here at Riverside Community Care. And we truly, truly value you and appreciate this opportunity for conversation. So thank you so very much. And we are going to continue on with the rest of our event for today. And as we bring this amazing conversation to a close, I extend our deepest gratitude to you. And it's just, again, phenomenal just to have this time with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for everything that you all are doing.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
Please welcome Kimberly Martin, Assistant Vice President for the Child and Family Services Division at Riverside and member of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee.
Thank you. I mean, what an incredible conversation to bear witness to. Thank you so, so much. I have to compose myself over here. It's truly an honor to delve into the stories of the trailblazing women who changed the course of history. Their courage and resilience continue to inspire us in our daily lives. Women such as Shirley Chisholm, though rising to prominence later, made history as the first African-American woman elected to Congress. Her groundbreaking achievements paved the way for greater representation and shattered glass ceilings. Polly Murray, a legal scholar and activist, laid the groundwork for the intersectional approach to justice that we champion today. Another important figure from history, Dorothy Height, president of the National Council of Negro Women, was a force to be reckoned with, advocating for the economic and social empowerment of Black women. Dorothy Height was an African-American civil rights and women's rights activist. She focused on the issues of African-American women, including unemployment, illiteracy, and voter awareness. A towering figure in the history of civil rights and women's empowerment, Dorothy Height left a lasting mark on the struggle for equality and justice. Height's influence extended beyond the confines of the civil rights movement. She played a crucial role in organizing the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom in 1963, where Dr. Martin Luther King delivered his iconic I Have a Dream speech. And despite her integral contributions, Height's work often went unrecognized, reflecting the intersectional challenges faced by Black women during that era. Dorothy Height's legacy is one of resilience, determination, and a commitment to lifting others as she climbed. Her contributions continue to reverberate in the ongoing fight for civil rights and gender equality. And as we remember this formidable woman, let us draw our inspiration from her life work, ensuring that her vision for a more inclusive and just society remains at the forefront of our collective efforts. In the video following our next song, we will hear stories from a few of our Riverside colleagues about the indomitable, resolute spirit of women like Rosa Parks, Fannie Lou Hamer, and Coretta Scott King. Their contributions were monumental, not just for their time, but for the ongoing journey towards equality. Today, we pay tribute to these extraordinary women who, amid formidable challenges, rose to the occasion during the civil rights movement, confronting the loss of their spouses, family members, and friends with unwavering strength and resilience. Women like Coretta Scott King, Myrlie Evers, and countless others. Shortly, you will hear some of the voices of our staff as they share how the efforts of the women of the civil rights movement still impact us all today. But before we hear from them, earlier you heard the phenomenal voice of Ashling Cole singing Lift Every Voice and Sing, and we want you to hear the incredibly talented Ashling again. Ashling is a San Francisco Oakland Bay icon and has become a household name since being on season 10 of BET's Sunday Best. Ashling was accepted into the San Francisco Girls Chorus when she was just 6 years old and studied to be an opera singer until she heard Whitney Houston and said, "Forget this opera stuff, I want to do that." she decided to redirect her focus to R&B. Ashling moved to LA and signed with Interscope Records at 17 to record an album with Teddy Riley, but when the deal fell through, she went home, quit music, and started waiting tables. Ashling has faced many challenges in her personal life and professional career. However, as many of us know, you can navigate those challenges and rise up. Ashling is an amazing example of just that. Sharing a song fitting for today's event, please welcome back Ashling Cole singing Rise Up, a song recorded by Arndrea.
You're broken down and tired of living life on this merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out and move mountains. We gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. Yes, I'll rise up, high like the waves, I'll rise up, I'll be unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, oh, for you. When the silence isn't quiet and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, and I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet and move mountains. We'll bring it to its feet, move mountains. And we'll rise up, we'll rise like the day, we'll rise up, we'll rise unafraid, we'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again. We'll rise up, we'll rise like the waves, we'll rise up, in spite of the ache, we'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again. Oh, all we need is hope, and for that we have each other, and for that we have each other. Oh, we will rise, we will rise, we will rise. Oh, we'll rise and we'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, oh, for you. We're gonna do it together. For you, for you. We'll rise up, we'll rise like the day, we'll rise up, and we'll be unafraid, we'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again. We're gonna rise up, high like the waves, we'll rise up, in spite of the ache, we'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again. And we'll do it for you, for you. We're gonna rise up for you. And we'll do it 1,000 times again. God bless you.
Hi, I'm Blessing. Hello, everyone. I'm Akanksha.
Hi, I'm Tiara.
Jacqueline Lewis Gaines.
Hear from Riverside employees on how the women in the civil rights movement has impacted their lives today.
Black female civil rights activist I identify with is Nanny Helen Burrs. She's an educator, an orator, a religious leader, and a civil rights movement lady. I resonate with her to some extent because she was a brave lady. She was a fighter. She loved to build others, and she was a voice for the voiceless, which is something that I love to do. I love to build. I love to help others. I love to be a beacon of hope.
Barbara C. Jordan was a proud member of my sorority, Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated. She was a lawyer, an educator, and a powerhouse during the civil rights movement.
I really resonate with Rosa Parks, who was an incredibly strong and courageous woman who fought against discrimination for herself and her community with immense grace, and really resonate with it also as a mother because the resilience in her character and her strength and her hope and determination to do something great for her community, it really encourages you to be someone like her.
Yes, I've noticed a few changes. One of them is the ability to vote. Prior to the civil rights movement, women didn't have the right to vote. And I would say that women of color were excluded to a large extent. Even during the suffrage women movement, Black women had to do their march on their own. They couldn't do it together with the white women. But in our society today, women are able to attain various levels of education. We serve as leaders in different organizations. Women are able to own property. Women are able to have their own earnings.
Women of color are respected, they're seen, they are acknowledged in the workforce, and known as people that can also be powerful. If it weren't for the women in the civil rights movement really leading the way and inspiring resiliency and strength and courage, we wouldn't see women being treated the way that they are today.
I have noticed a shift in societal attitudes toward women of color. I believe that we are now seen as pillars of strength. Whether it's a single mother taking the place of both parents, or a strong supportive wife like Michelle Obama, women of color are seen as the backbone of the family dynamic, which can be attributed to the groundwork laid by the Black women activists in the past.
I feel the civil rights movement and the role in women in that has really impacted women of today. You are getting more opportunities where you are treated as equals, and it really helps you to take a lot from the stories and all the struggles that have been there in past, and today it has framed a good, strong ground for us to flourish.
Please welcome Akanksha Joshi, Chairperson of Riverside's BIPOC Employee Resource Group.
Hello, everyone. We are excited to have 4 employee resource groups at Riverside Community Care. I currently serve as the chair of our BIPOC ERG. BIPOC group is run by employees and for employees. We come together virtually once a month, and over the years, we have organized thought-provoking discussions, celebratory events, and in-person activities. We have built a strong sense of community and belongingness by celebrating our culture and learning from each other's experiences. This group is designed to support individuals from diverse racial and ethnic backgrounds. This voluntary group within our organization provides a safe space for employees to come together, share experiences, and address challenges unique to their communities. We are focused on fostering a sense of belonging, advocating for equity and inclusion, and providing resources for personal and professional development. Being part of this event today is an awesome reminder of the true effort Riverside has in place to encourage education and celebrate the diversity that makes us who we are.
Please welcome Emily Bliss, Chairperson of Riverside's True Ability Employee Resource Group.
Thank you to the Riverside community for including me in this powerful event. Hello, my name is Emily Bliss. I'm a member of the Riverside community as a team manager for our CBHC in Milford, and I am a person with chronic illness called lupus. True Ability is a Riverside employee resource group for individuals living with or touched by chronic, invisible, and visible illnesses and disabilities to share their experience and to help others understand living with a chronic illness. True Ability is open for anyone looking to find a community of support for living with or being touched by a chronic illness or disability, or are curious about the unique experience of that. True Ability meets the second Wednesday of every month at 2 p.m. We invite any interested Riverside employee to join us. If you have any questions or comments you would like to share regarding True Ability ERG, please contact us at trueability@riversidecc.org. We also have 3 other impactful ERGs: BIPOC, in which Akansha just spoke about, POL, the Power of Lived Experience, which meets the last Thursday of every month from 3 to 4, and TLC, in which all Riverside employees are invited to join TLC at their meeting next Friday, February 9th, when they'll be debriefing this event and discussing intersectionality with the LGBTQ+ community. If you would like to attend any of these groups, please see the email address listed. Thank you for your time and commitment to making Riverside an inclusive place to work. Now, Akansha will join me in announcing our giveaway.
So we have great giveaways for you all today. It's a gift certificate for an online bookstore called Bookshop.org. This has a great selection of books by some really great authors. We have created a recommendation list for you that you can see on your screen right now. Some of the great books I can talk about in that list are We Dream a World by Yolanda Renee King. She is the granddaughter of Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King. It's a picture book that is a tribute to her grandparents, and that also speaks to children everywhere about her hopes for new future. There's another great book there, which is by Barack Obama. It's Promised Land, and it tells the story of his improbable odyssey from a young man searching for his identity to as a leader of the free world. It is named one of the best books of the year by Washington Post and the New York Times.
So we have selected 4 random winners from our audience today. I apologize if I mispronounce your name. So our winners are Margaret Phillips, Diane Nosavelli, Tarshi Derval, and Pritama Huskin. The winners will be receiving a gift certificate in their Riverside emails. Good luck. Congratulations to all of our winners, and we will be in touch with you after the event to claim your prize.
Please welcome again Riverside's Vice President for Diversity and Inclusion, Dr. Angela Crutchfield.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you so much for those giveaways. And if you are not a Riverside employee and you were a winner, we will access or contact you via your email as well. Thank you all so very much. The stories and the experiences that we share today, I hope they serve as a lasting tribute to the unsung heroes who shaped the course of history, and even to women today who are still blazing a trail for change and for engagement and thoughtfulness about inclusivity in the workplace and in the society as a whole. Let us carry forward the lessons that we've learned from the remarkable women that we've heard about today, and also hearing from Mrs. Arndrea King as well. And these legacies, I think, are just powerful towards our thoughtfulness about justice, equality, and unity. Thank you all for joining us for this meaningful time today. Together, let us honor and celebrate the spirit of the women who paved the way for a brighter, more inclusive future. And on behalf of the leadership of Riverside Community Care, the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, and our amazing tech team, we cannot do these events without them. I say thank you for joining us today. And as you exit today, just remember all the things that you've heard today and let this be an encouragement to you. Thanks, everybody. We really appreciate you joining us. And don't forget, our next event will be coming up in June, which will be our Pride event. So please be on the lookout for communication about that event coming up in June. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a wonderful afternoon.